Life sometimes come at you fast. Tragedies make your life unravel. You feel like you wanna give up and stay knocked down. Even when your heart is shattered, you still got a life to live. You still got a life to live, so don't give up. We are beautiful miracles. We are beautiful miracles. We are beautiful miracles, so don't give up.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me on my podcast, Beautiful Tragedy. If you like what you're hearing, would you please like, comment, share, and subscribe? And today I wanted to talk to you about what a bereaved parent's reaction, personally speaking, to the school shooting that happened in Uvalde, Texas. I will always say that I'm not going to speak for others. I'm only speaking for myself. I'm only giving my own personal perspective. With everything that's gone on in the news in the last few years, personally, I have to really have some boundaries up because there's just constant information overload. This situation felt a lot different to me. I couldn't just ignore it. I in the past have been someone who's been very vocal politically. Mostly as an advocate because that's what my background is. But once my son died, the things I cared about really changed a lot. And I just have a much more limited capacity for things that my brain can comprehend and process. And like I said, I really have to have boundaries put up because it's just more than my brain can handle. I just don't get into arguments with people online, and there's just so many issues that divide our country, and I just can't take it. And really, every subject kind of ends up coming back to politics, and really, I just don't care about politics like I used to. Once you lose a child, your perspective really changes, and but the truth of the matter is, whether I like it or not, so many things are related to politics, so it's hard to say that I don't care about it. It's just that I realize that I can't change it. When I heard about the school shooting in Texas, my heart just shattered. And this is the first big shooting that has happened since I've lost a child, and then also I have a child in school. And I just really couldn't get out of my head. I couldn't stop thinking about it. It really got me down for quite some time. Everyone knows that losing a child is every parent's worst nightmare. I've probably said it a million times on this podcast, and I will probably say it a million times more because it is the truth. You do not want it to happen to your worst enemy. Child loss affects every single aspect of your life. There just aren't enough words to explain how gravely your life changes after you lose a child. It's more than people can comprehend. And unless you've lost a child, then your mind still can't even comprehend it. And my mind thought about the financial stress that occurs when someone loses a child. I think about how quickly people have to go back to work, not because they want to, but because they have to. Bills don't stop when you lose a child. And honestly, most companies' bereavement policy would probably allow someone to be paid for 1 week after a death. And, GoFundMe's help, but they don't solve the problem. My mind thinks about 19 families having to plan a child's funeral for which they were not prepared for on any level. My mind thinks about the siblings whose lives have just been destroyed because they lost their best friend. They lost the sibling that they thought that they would grow old alongside. And at that time, they lost a piece of their parents. I think about marriages that can be destroyed because no two people grieve the same. Your problems do not go away when your child dies. Some marriages will not survive the loss of a child. I think about the relationships with families and friends that will change. They just do, no matter how hard you try. You'll deal with people who say things wanting to help, but they will actually hurt sometimes because our society has a hard time dealing with death, and even more so with child death. I can only fathom the extra layer of difficulty when it involves a subject that is so politically charged. I think about the amount of most likely lifelong therapy that a family would need after the death of a child, but most families either can't afford it or won't go because grief therapy is hard and painful. I think about the millions of memories that will now be marred with the absence of a child and multiply that by 19. The pain is truly incomprehensible. I'm thinking about the first responders, the hospital, the funeral staff, the school staff, the students who witnessed the tragedy, and the community who is now forever changed. I think about the energy it takes to continue to put one foot in front of the other after child loss. I think about how lonely grief can feel because it is such an individual feeling and emotion. And honestly, it all really weighs on me because once you've lost a child, you can just empathize. Even if you've not lost a child, you can empathize because you know how much you love your child. Their children went to school and they were happy and they were dressed up for a special day, and then all of a sudden they were gone. And it's been something that's been extra difficult for our country to process, but I've certainly felt it on a deeper level, having been now also a bereaved parent. And, you know, there's nothing we can do to change it. And sadly, it'll probably happen again. But in the meantime, my hope is that the people affected can get the help that they need. And that, you know, maybe someone would hear something on this podcast that would encourage them at some point. I know right now it's still very fresh and very new. But my hope is that, you know, that there would be some sort of encouragement, that, you know, this is a very, very difficult path to live. And, you know, you don't wish it upon your worst enemy. So my heart really goes out to everyone in Uvalde, Texas, and how their life just will never be the same. So thank you.
We are beautiful miracles. We are beautiful